This week in games, PlayStation is looking forward, Xbox is looking backwards, a new Prince of Persia game is in development, and I react to maybe the worst character list ranking of all time. This is the Two Penny Gamescast. What's poppin', players? Welcome back to the Two Penny Gamescast, episode 194. I am your host, Tavin Bothel, here with my good friend and co-host. Say hello to the people, Connor Elliott.
How's it going, guys? Pretty good, huh? Pretty nice day?
Connor, how's your week been?
It's been shit.
Oh, wow.
I had a very, very busy week at work.
Yeah?
Which was capped off with me getting drunk on the couch over here.
Oh, nice.
Which was the good part, but the lead up to that was not fun.
Getting drunk is fun.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But now this is a new week. So
I'll tell you
hopefully
what,
this one will be better.
I've been going out drinking too much. I gotta cut it back.
You have been?
I'm trying to lose a little bit of weight. Yeah, you don't know because your ass is asleep because we have opposite working schedules. Yeah. But yeah, I've been out after work, just going to the bar, getting a couple brewskis with the boys, at work and so forth. And I've just been doing a little too much. I need to pull back.
Well, just cut down on the brewskis and get some, straight whiskey. Straight something. Cuts down on any kind of carbs or, any of the things that make you feel, full.
Yeah, I don't know. I like drinking beer, You just like it, Beer is usually kind of cheaper, too, usually.
It is, but it's less effective. Well, yeah, it's less effective.
It depends. It depends.
It does depend.
I mean, if you're sitting there taking a fucking hour to drink a goddamn drink, then yeah, it's less effective. But, if you're drinking a beer every, 15, 20 minutes, yeah, you're getting where you need to be by beer 3 or 4. Mm-hmm. It's a good time. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Two Penny Gamescast. Each week, me and Connor come to you with the new news you need to know concerning the video game industry. We each come to you with 2 topics, 2 pennies, if you will, and we give you our 2 cents on them. You can catch this show every week, Tuesday, 8 a.m. Central Time, youtube.com/@2pennygames, and mainstream podcast services of your choice. Make sure you like, subscribe, share with a friend, and let us know down in the comments about topics of conversation you'd like us to have. We would love an audience 2 penny segment as well. You can also catch this show live every week. What day is today? Monday, about 6 p.m. Central Time to about 9 p.m. Central Time. Twitch.tv/2pennygames, where we record all of our podcasts live. This one, all of our reviews, all of our Game Club episodes, all of our piggy banks, we record them right here. Come, follow us on Twitch and watch them live as we do them. Interact with us with the chat a little bit, maybe, possibly. It's a fun time over here. We have fun.
You're saying...
We have fun.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please, can we go on?
Make sure you like and subscribe. And also follow us on TikTok and our social media accounts. Links are in the description down below. Connor, it's time to move on to our first topic of the day. Your first penny of the day. Make sure you get your time code.
Okay.
Did you get your time code?
I was too dedicated to the bit
You were dedicated to the bit. And it didn't read that much because you're very small. You're very small.
I am? Jesus, okay.
You got
fucking Christ.
Why the fuck is that?
Very
Oh, because
small.
I clicked the wrong button.
Fucking asshole.
You just got a tiny penis, Anyways, Connor,
See what I deal with?
moving on to our first topic of the day. Your first penny of the day. Take it away, my friend.
Well, we got an article here from comicbook.com. New PlayStation event rumored for May 2024. This is from Logan Moore. Sony's next major PlayStation event is rumored to be taking place this coming month in May 2024. Back in February, PlayStation held its first State of Play presentation of the year and highlighted games that included Silent Hill 2, Death Stranding 2, Judas, and a new remake of Until Dawn. Since this time, Sony has been laying pretty low and hasn't divulged any plans to hold another State of Play or another similar event anytime soon. Fortunately, for those eager to learn more about what's coming to PlayStation 5, it seems we shouldn't have to wait a whole lot longer. According to reporter Jeff Grubb, a new event tied to PlayStation should be happening at some point in May. Grubb didn't provide many details about the event and when it would take place within the month, but he did say that he's heard Silent Hill 2 could once again appear during this presentation. Beyond this, Grubb also added that he believes this will end up being a proper PlayStation Showcase event rather than a smaller State of Play instead. Generally speaking, it would make a ton of sense for the next PlayStation.
This is editorialization. We don't give a fuck about that.
Wait, we do.
We do the editorializing here. Not that. Do we?
No.
No? Okay. Well, then here we go. Connor, New PlayStation event on its way. Not a big surprise, really. May, just before the summer showcase season going on. If it does, in fact, hit may slip into June or whatever they're ready to present this to us. Could be a PlayStation showcase, Connor. Might do bigger game announcements, bigger game reveals. We might see some gameplay from some of them games as service games they premiered last time around. Who knows? Hopefully, fingers crossed. Maybe the reappearance of one Marvel's Wolverine, Connor. Maybe an announcement of a Ghost of Tsushima 2. Connor, where do you want to start? What would be the most interesting to you?
Well, one of the stories that we got early on this year was that Sony isn't going to be releasing any new games in major existing franchises. So that knocks out a this year announcement for Ghost of Tsushima for what other fucking games would they have in their catalog that would get another game?
Ghost of Tsushima. Major existing IPs. I'm assuming that means Wolverine.
But that's a new IP, really. That's like
but like it is like an existing known quantity, and plus we had those Insomniac leaks, which put it in 26, I believe.
No Infamous.
No.
I mean, there's a small chance that it could be there. Slim, but still there.
Bring it back, man. Infamous remake project. Make that be what Blue... Oh, God, can you imagine if that's what Blue Point was working on?
That's the thing, though.
Fucking crazy.
New existing game franchises. Remakes, still on the table. Remasters, still on the table.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
The problem is that PlayStation, particularly with the 5, needs to stop resting on its laurels of what they've already established coming into this new console cycle. Obviously, with God of War Ragnarok, they were like, hey, it's got the new PS5 features.
But it was also available on the 4.
Yeah, it's also available on the 4. Star Wars Jedi Survivor, still also on the PlayStation 4, I believe.
No, they're trying to get it. Trying to get it over there, but we'll see if it ever happens.
A dying trend, but not really any like new big crazy things this PlayStation 5 yet.
Yeah,
it was at the beginning with things like Returnal,
Ratchet and Clank, Spider-Man 2.
New things, though.
So really, it could be like some new stuff as you've brought up. I think we're gonna see a lot more in depth into things that we saw last PlayStation showcase that didn't really have a gameplay. It was just a lot of announcements of new IPs and so forth. So I think Fair Games is gonna get some type of gameplay breakdown, I would hope, or gameplay reveal of some kind. Maybe Bungie's Marathon, but who knows if that's actually going to happen. Probably just a last shape, final shape, whatever that fucking expansion is called for Destiny 2. Probably going to have a nice advertisement for that. Concord, am I missing one? I don't think so. I think those are the big 3 that we haven't seen yet. I could see potentially maybe a Helldivers 2 expansion, DLC pack, something to kind of get in there. Helldivers 2 obviously set the world on fire at the beginning of the year. Totally blew expectations out of the water, so much to the point to where, the Arrowhead, the game dev studio, had to put a hard cap on how many players could enter, and a lot of us had to wait in a line to play the video game. So I could see them wanting to turn it around and have, here's a content pack of some kind for that. And then from there, it's just like all right, what are we expecting for the rest of this year? Hopefully something, but obviously nothing returning. So no God of Wars, no Spider-Mans, no Horizons. Ghost of Tsushima 2 could be announced, but it's probably just going to be some kind of cinematic trailer, cool hype building thing, and then we'll come 26-ish, 27-ish.
I think one of the big things is we're going to get a release date for Silent Hill 2. All signs are pointing to that game coming out this year because we had that little slight showcase, not in depth, during the State of Play.
Yeah.
I believe it got, I think it got rated by the ESRB or something like that. Some other weird...
That slipped past me. I don't know.
Some like weird detail that kind of hinted that it could be coming out this year. I can't recall directly off the top of my head.
I think that was just rumor mill stuff.
It could be, but hey... reasonable rumor to be hearing a bunch of because, it's one of the, big games they've been amping up. Seems like there's a error?
Your fucking camera died again.
Really? Huh?
Yeah.
Very
I don't know
strange.
what's going on with it. I think we're going to have to replace the wire.
It just keeps some, technical difficulties. They come and they go, and this is where they're coming.
Nope, it's broken. Okay.
Damn.
All right.
I think it's very likely that Silent Hill 2 is going to get some kind of release date. The signs seem to be pointing that it's coming out this year. We saw a little bit of it in like a cinematic type trailer, even though it actually had raw gameplay back during the state of play. But it didn't really impress people.
Yeah.
And people have been waiting for it. So it's probably about time to start unveiling that one, especially with how little games you've announced for this year so far down the line. Death Stranding 2. I think we're going to get a lot, maybe a more in-depth gameplay for that one as well. It seems like it's going to be a mixture of the things we've already heard of at the state of play, getting more in-depth gameplay.
I think we can wait on Death Stranding too.
I mean, we could, but I don't know what else they got in their bag right now. They've been showing that they're reserved in releasing those pre-existing IPs.
Does that game have a subtitle?
What?
Death Stranding 2?
On the beach?
On the beach. Death Stranding on the beach.
Yeah.
That's what it's called. Yeah.
So, it seems to be rearing up for this year, which is why I'm spitballing that that's going to be showing
up. Really? You think so?
Up.
That soon?
It seemed like December almost was like potentially where it was going to come out. Who knows, though? Kojima might, be doing some weird shit with that game. Need some more time on it.
I think they said next year for that one.
Next year.
Death Stranding 2. Death Stranding on the beach.
While he's looking that up. Prince of Persia, we'll talk about that a little later in the showcase, in the game, in the podcast.
This says release date 2025. I think they gave us the year of 25. So
never mind that. So we probably won't even see shit for them.
Well, also, no existing
major
IPs.
Yeah.
So
yes,
that's
that's includes into that.
But I wonder, at least from first party studios, that we can count on our hands. Metal Gear.
Metal Gear is another game that we haven't seen a lot of.
Seems to make sense to the last PlayStation showcases where we announced Metal Gear Solid Delta, the Snake Eater remake, would kind of make sense to alternate between Metal Gear and Kojima between events. Last event, we got the big Death Stranding on the beach. This next one, maybe we get a look at Metal Gear. David Hayter recently, made waves on the internet saying he's doing a whole promo thing for this fucking game. Made waves on the internet recently saying, hey, he's played up to the bridge sequence. If you've played the game, that's not very far in the game, but
it's the hook.
It's the hook. It's the narrative hook of the game. So maybe we see elements of that, a couple of cutscenes, early cutscenes of that, and maybe some other later cutscenes that have been done and so forth. I don't expect full out gameplay. I just kind of expect like gameplay interstitials kind of cut in between, but nothing super solid to look at and stuff like that. So I don't know. And again, I don't expect that one this year, especially like Silent Hill 2 definitely seems to be closer to us. So I would agree, I would say maybe Silent Hill 2 this year. I'll believe it when I see it, but I definitely think we're getting that game before we get Snake Eater.
Yeah, definitely. Going into the remake area, Blue Point, what are they working on?
What are they working on?
Last thing was Demon Souls, unless they snuck something else. Yeah, so it's overdue now.
Demon Souls 2021,
I bought.
2020.
2020, even yeah.
You played it late, remember?
Yeah, I did,
It took you a while to get to 5.
Yeah, it took me a second. Yeah. So, what would they release? No Metal Gear. I don't believe it's Metal Gear at all.
I'd be shocked.
Yeah, right.
That'd be
2?
insane. 2 of them? Why?
No. Well, hey,
I have no idea what it could be.
What if they just came out with that? You'd be like, "Oh my god,
that's not the
crazy.
game. That's not the game we all want from them at all." It's not going to be Mass Effect because of the Legendary Edition. It's not going to be Metal Gear because Delta's happening. It's not going to be a Resident Evil because they're doing that on their own.
Yeah. Which, I mean, hey, announcement for Resident Evil. Not coming out this year, but they could be hinting at what's next, seeing as how the Ethan Winter story has come to a close. Could be the time to, kind of point in the direction of where you're going with that franchise.
Oh, you're saying an announcement for the next Resident Evil?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Possibly. I could see that. I mean, that's currently a thing that is empty right now. We do not know what they're doing next. And, we do know that they have 2 different teams working on 2 different things, but they did combine together to finish off Resident Evil 4, so they may both be starting from scratch. But I think it would make sense to get the hype train rolling, announce whatever remake is next, or give us what Resident Evil 9 is going to be. We did cover a story of Resident Evil 9 possibly going open world. We covered that story, right?
Yes, we did.
And how uninteresting that would fucking be. But we'll see.
It turned out to be not true.
Yeah.
But it's still possible with how they've done things.
Well,
remake for 1? Because they've gone back and remade 2.
They've
done 3. They've done 4. It makes sense to do 5, but
in
I would
order,
like to see 5.
I think Code Veronica is next. I think that one makes the most sense. It hasn't been done already, but it's either Code Veronica or 1. I don't think they're going to do 5 next because I don't know if they know how to handle 5.
I think they're going to go in just a completely different direction with 5.
I think that would probably be smart.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunate for guys like us who love the co-op of 5, but do you need it? I don't know. Hard to tell. Would it be better to kind of figure out how to give us Resident Evil 4 again, but this time with 2 campaigns or something like that, with a Sheva campaign and a Chris campaign or something. I don't know. Or maybe you just play as both and jump between the two, a la Resident Evil 3 with Jill and Carlos and stuff like that. I don't know. I don't know what the right move is for right there. I know what I would personally want, but I don't know if that's the right move. Let's go back to Blue Point real quick.
Yeah.
Now under PlayStation Studios, officially bought out. So you assume their next big thing is, you would assume another remake. You assume they wouldn't do an original IP because they seem to want to be the remake studio, which
good. I love that.
Excites me personally. Yeah. So now you have to start looking at PlayStation lineage. What lineage of games on PlayStation do we have that would, quantify a remake? It gets really tricky. Ninja Gaiden is a little too old and mostly known in its prime for being on Nintendo consoles from back in the day, or Sega consoles maybe, I forget. Final Fantasy is tricky. You wouldn't go 7 obviously because they're doing that already. So 10
potentially, but I don't think that's what they would be going for. I think
don't-
Square Enix seems to be interested in
doing
remakes, and they're not even. They've shown that they're not even doing something for 6, which would make sense. It seems like if they were going to be working with Blue Point on that,
I think
that's
it's
what
clear
they would point them to.
Square Enix does not have a clear goal after 7 remake series. They just want to get that done. So, but it would make sense for them to do it themselves. So maybe not that. Chrono Trigger?
Still, then it's just like, what would they? It doesn't seem like that's something that's up their alley.
Yeah,
those JRPG games. They could break.
Well, I think they would give it the. I think they would give it the 7 remake gameplay treatment. They could. And stuff like that. With the full 3D camera and character models all flushed out and so forth. And the combat would be more action-y focused. Something like that I could see. I
had one a second ago too.
It's really hard. I mean, maybe some old God of Wars. Maybe because they worked on God of War Ragnarok. They were a support studio for that. So maybe they go back and give God of War 1 the sort of updated God of War 2018 treatment. Of course, keeping the tone of the original game, but giving us the gameplay of the new stuff. I don't know. That'd be interesting. Or maybe just keep it classic stuff. Connor, Devil May Cry.
See, I thought that. I was like, I don't think they would do that either. I think if we would get any Devil May Cry stories, it would be another game to try and continue that IP rather than a remake of it. Yeah, I feel like if they were going to try and put out another Devil May Cry title.
5 was kind of definitive, though, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
They specified that was the ending of the Sons of Sparta, as they call it, arc. So, but hey, they didn't say it's the end of Devil May Cry. Crazy one.
Yeah.
But it's one we played fairly recently, and it's rough, but it's a PlayStation Legacy title now. Uncharted 1, Uncharted Drake's Fortune.
Yeah, it's been talked about a couple of times.
I wouldn't really be super excited for
I don't think that's a smart move with how much Naughty Dog gets criticized. Now, of course, these are separate studios, but does the general population understand that? I don't know if they do. I think they'd be really sick of just seeing Naughty Dog games getting remade again and again and again. I think it'd be a smart choice. I think it would kind of fit into their wheelhouse a little bit, especially after what we saw from Shadow of the Colossus type thing. But yeah, I don't know. Going in that vein, maybe Ico, but that's kind of a boring pick.
Especially right after Shadow of the Colossus, or relatively.
Yeah.
You had that in your catalog. They seem to be kind of one of those studios that wants to do something different each time.
I would assume so, yeah.
Yeah, that's the vibe I've gotten from them.
Yeah, and it gets tricky. I mean, Demon's Souls is such a random pick.
It was, but it was needed. That old game.
I agree.
Falling out of date.
But you wouldn't go Dark Souls next, right? You wouldn't remake that.
There's already a remastered of that fairly recently.
Yeah.
So no way at all.
I just don't think you need that.
This is kind of my last, hat. What do you call it? Thing in the bucket? Vote in the bucket? Fucking whatever. Killzone. Killzone is a game franchise that had the first game that was well received. 2, which I just remember, wall-to-wall amazing coverage of that game. And then they faltered with 3. And didn't they do a spin-off game during the initial launch of the PS4?
Killzone Shadowfall?
Yeah, something like that.
It was a launch game for the PlayStation 4. Yeah, you're right. I
think
think it was Shadowfall. Killzone Shadowfall, yeah.
But
Killzone was huge. That would be an appropriate
Okay.
IP. It'd be different. First-person shooting, a little bit different than what they're used to in their wheelhouse. They kind of stick to third-person action games. Demon Souls, Shadow of the Colossus, even if you look to their work with remake trilogies, Uncharted, Shadow of the Colossus and Ico, Metal Gear Solid, just all third-person action games and so forth. So that would be a dramatic left turn. Not a bad pick. But, I mean, Killzone never had the fire like that. And
I think it did too. Definitely did though. I remember that it took the world by storm that year, and they couldn't capitalize.
But
on
then
it
you
with
have
three.
to start talking about like, all right, do we do multiplayer? Because Killzone 2 known for its multiplayer. So do we do that? And I don't think you do. Like that's strange for. It feels too far out of the wheelhouse for me. But I like it as a pick. That's a pick that is exciting. That's an exciting pick. But I don't think that's the right pick for Bluepoint.
Good enough.
You know, I mean, I could always be wrong. Maybe they got more sauce than I think they got.
I'll throw one more in there.
Yeah.
Armored Core. With how Crazy 6 is gone, they did the FromSoft Demon Souls game. It's unlikely, but
I mean, Armored Core 6 didn't set the world on fire.
it didn't. But
It was like a cool game. Some people played it. Some people didn't. You know, those who did really enjoyed it. But, you know, it didn't set the world on fire. I don't think that's an IP that excites people. I don't think it's an IP that would get people to buy a remake of it.
It does have a strong base, but
Yeah,
that's really all
it would be
has.
impossible to get outside of that base. The base would jump in on it and go crazy. But, like, I mean, you got to think, like, Dark Souls blew up. That's why we went to Demon Souls.
Yeah.
You know, it's let's give you the original From Software experience, but updated with all these beautiful graphics and so forth. And then this is after Bloodborne. Obviously, this is after what's the one I like? Sekiro, which won a Game Award for Game of the Year and so forth. And then in the hype build up to Elden Ring, it made sense to do the Demon Souls project under that guise. The more I think about it, I mean, if we were betting men, Connor, I'm going to put my bet on God of War. I think God of War 1 remake with the new gameplay over the shoulder, but we're getting nasty. We're bloody. We're brutal. Kratos is a beast. I think it makes sense, especially because Bluepoint knows what makes the original game special when they do these things and how to preserve that and keep that. I think that alongside Santa Monica Studios having such a reverence for those original games and not letting us forget the importance of those original games and not leaning into the new story. They very much have said, no, this is that Kratos of old. This is who he is now. And there's a want online. I see it every time that anything God of War related comes out. There's a want online to have that original Kratos back. People want that blood-mongering, blood-hungry beast of an animal. They want that back.
And as you said before, it's in their wheelhouse of doing the third-person action games.
They
PlayStation
just
Legacy
came
title.
off of God of War Ragnarok. I think that makes sense. I'm going to put my money on God of War remake.
I like-
totally hypothesizing here.
Bluepoint's one of my favorite studios because we were going to sit down and talk about what wide breadth of games could be coming out or being announced during a potential showcase that they're doing. And all we just kind of talked the most about was Bluepoint because we're so excited to see what they got next.
I think PlayStation's kind of done it to themselves, where you just kind of look at their lineup right now, and they've played their hand pretty poorly. Where they've put a lot of studios on some live service games that we know nothing about. So what can we even say about them? We know Wolverine's not coming for a while because they said no new existing IP, bullshit, whatever, yada yada yada. And I'm not saying the Bluepoint game would come soon. I just think they would announce it and give it another year, late 26, for that. We know Wolverine's not coming. We know Ghost of Tsushima 2 is not coming. So what can we say? We know Naughty Dog's not doing anything. They just got their main game canceled. So where do we go from here? You look at some of the smaller studios. Bend Studio, what are they up to? I don't know. Not a Days Gone to. So that's just a total hypothesis. I don't know. It could be anything. You look around and you go, I don't know what we're doing, but I hope we're doing something.
I hope so as well. I like when they do something.
Bluepoint, there's something to at least hypothesize there. You look around and you go, all right, what has Bluepoint done before?
Something tangible.
They've never really repeated themselves outside of Shadow of the Colossus. And even then, it went from just a remaster to a full-blown remake. They've started remaking everything. So you kind of just get the vibe that they're more interested in games history than anything else. They just came off like you can start making connections and hypothesis. You know it's going to be something PlayStation legacy title-wise, just because this is their first game under the umbrella of PlayStation and so forth. Yeah, I don't know. I'm interested. I want to know what Housemarque's doing.
Yeah.
After Returnal, which is one of my favorite games of all time, I would love to have a sequel to that of some kind with maybe some focus on co-op or something. Or fuck it, just give me something, anything from that studio.
They've proven themselves.
I want to see it. You know.
One last one. Won't spend any time on it. Just a mic drop moment of what they need to remake. Heavy Rain.
All right, moving on to fucking topic number 2. If you're not going to take this podcast seriously, Connor, I will. Fucking shit, Heavy Rain.
Go do it.
I clicked the wrong button.
No,
moving on, topic number 2, my first penny of the day. We got some Xbox news, ladies and gentlemen. This is from WindowsCentral.com by Jez Corden. Exclusive. Xbox president Sarah Bond has set up a new team dedicated to game preservation and forward compatibility. Backward compatibility program will continue to future Xbox hardware. Sarah Bond was promoted to Xbox president a few short months ago and kickstarted something of a reorganization to streamline Microsoft's gaming org to position itself for the future. With Activision Blizzard now acquired, Xbox has, and noted 1,900 people laid off, Xbox has become something of a gaming powerhouse with huge platform across Xbox console and cloud, PC gaming, mobile titles, and subscription services. Even when you disregard the millions of Xbox Game Pass subscribers, Microsoft counts various other subscription service gaming businesses within that fold. From Fallout First to Minecraft Realms and World of Warcraft, the complexity of Xbox business is doubtless and a huge challenge, but there are similarly huge opportunities ahead of them, ahead of the firm. To that end, Sarah Bond recently sent out an email to rally her troops while also sharing some interesting bits of news in the process. Microsoft has confirmed to us that the correspondence is genuine. Here's the news, so listen up here. Quote, "It's been nearly 6 months since we came together as an organization. Our collective achievements in the time frame are tremendous. Everyone should feel incredibly proud of what we've achieved and excited about the operation ahead," Sarah said. Quote, "We are moving full speed ahead on our next generation hardware, focused on delivering the biggest technological leap ever in a generation." Sarah also touched on Microsoft's innovations in gaming AI, understood to be a big part of Microsoft's vision for the future of Xbox. We were recently told that departing XEM Tech led and AI innovator Kareem Chowdhury, was known within the org for putting players and developers first. It seems that influence will continue driving Microsoft through process of the tech. Quote, "We are innovating in gaming AI, focused on delivering player first, developer first value for discovery, engagement, and creator velocity." Further in, Sarah describes how much Microsoft is continuing its work to integrate Activision Blizzard games and Battle.net into Game Pass, Xbox PC Game Pass, and Microsoft brought Diablo 4 to Xbox Game, blah, blah, blah. A lot more stuff going on things. Here's the important part that we want to talk about. Xbox built a new team for game preservation and the future. Recently, the preservation of games has become an increasing concern as the shift to digital licensing models and online services has made it too easy for games to go permanently offline. It's a massive problem in mobile gaming, where publishers and companies like Apple and Google have no problem wiping games from existence. Even core platforms like Nintendo are known to shut down stores, offlining many games. Microsoft is closing parts of the Xbox 360 store this year for new purchases. However, hundreds of the most popular Xbox backward-compatible games escaped the Xbox 360 and continue to live on the Xbox One and Xbox X/S platforms. It seems that now they'll live on even further. As part of the emails to her team, Sarah Bond revealed that Microsoft has now set up a dedicated team to ensure the future-proofing of the current Xbox game library against future hardware paradigm shifts, ensuring that our games remain accessible long into the future. Quote, "We have formed a new team dedicated to game preservation, important to all of us at Xbox and the industry itself. We are building on our strong history of delivering backwards compatibility to our players, and we remain committed to bringing forward the amazing library of Xbox games for future generations of players to enjoy. So, Connor, Xbox going big on next gen, going big on making sure we have some game preservations and a game library. Thoughts?
I mean, ultimately, I'm always, you are historically in favor of game preservation, particularly because you have Xbox Arcade in terms of Xbox's wheelhouse of just games and games and games that have no real sustainability for them.
But they're incredibly important to the history of video games, the story of video games.
Really kickstarted the indie movement as we know it now by giving those developers a lot of tools to work with. Really, that's the only thing I care about in regard to this story. I think if there's going to be a big major player to take on that role, Xbox is a good one to do it. You know, PlayStation is clearly focused on bringing their IPs to as many people as possible and doing new things with them, whereas this Xbox isn't really, they've been kind of on the back pedal for making new games. And so, if you're not going to really be diving into that, might as well just be reinforcing your current stock. I know PlayStation, for example, I think it was related to the PS Vita or is the PSP. A bunch of games were just going to be lost. I'm pretty sure it was the Vita.
PS3 and Vita. They were going to shut down both those stores. There was so much outrage that they left them open.
Yeah, and that was good at the time that they didn't just axe it, despite what people were saying. But it shows that it's very tenuous on whether those games can continue to exist. And so, good on Xbox for taking the initiative on that. They've been, as far as the games industry goes, not the best recently with all of their layoffs. But this is I wouldn't say a step in the right direction, but it's at least a positive thing that they're doing.
It's laying the proper foundation for things, right? Like, this is how you ensure that future generations can go and look back and teach themselves and learn. We have our show, the Two Penny Game Club, which is our monthly video game book club that we do, where we let a spinner wheel pick a game for us, and we play that game, and then we rank it amongst each other, the other games that we play in the series and so forth. We just did Pokemon Soul Silver. You can find that review live on the channel now. We're working on the game Severed next month. Now, that's a wide gap of games. We've done things like Super Mario 64. We've done things like God of War Ragnarok. We've done things like Portal, Dishonored, Batman Arkham Asylum. We're running the gambit on these games. And now, Severed, I think, is a great example of what we're talking about, where that was a PlayStation Vita game that got ported to mobile devices, that got ported to the Nintendo Switch. But that game was really like the last hurrah for the PlayStation Vita, and it's a special game. And to lose that one to history would be heartbreaking. Obviously, you can get it on other platforms, so that's nice. But what are we doing to preserve games like this for the future? You look at Xbox, Castle Crashers, Super Meat Boy, a bunch of classic titles that were really, really popular because of Xbox Arcade. The Trials games, the Trials franchise, made it huge because of Xbox Arcade. Geometry Wars, the list goes on and on and on and on. So it's important to go back and do your history. And that's one of the reasons I like doing that show so much with you, because it lets us do our homework. We want to talk about games in an educated perspective. So it lets us do our homework and be able to play these old games and force us to make time for these old games that otherwise we wouldn't be making time for. Now, imagine if, no care was given to this at all and it was just impossible to play any game that's 10 years old, That would be awful. It'd be horrifying, So, there's a bunch of different ways that you can approach this, either through remastering, through remaking, or porting, or figuring out a way to go back and do that. I like this the most because I always say, if you're going to experience something old for the first time, it's important to have the option, if you want, to go back and play it how it was originally intended to be played and created, and to transport yourself back into that world. That's why That's why I fight Phil all the time about what version of games do we play when we go to Final Fantasy VII. Play the original fucking game, and then we'll do remakes because those are different games. Persona 3. Hey, when Persona 3 comes up in the wheel, I'm not playing Reload. I'm going to go play Portable or Fez or whatever version is on the PlayStation 4, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We're just going to keep going down that road because I think it's important to go back and see these games as they were meant to be played. If you can play an updated version that allows you through like emulation or what Final Fantasy VII, the original, does, where it allows you to speed things up, that's fine, I think. But, it's important to have that original experience.
I agree. Though with Persona 3, I'll be going to reload.
Bitch.
Whatever. But we focused a lot on these on the preservation aspect of old games, or smaller games, I should say. But recently, we played what's considered one of the best Pokemon games, Pokemon Soul Silver. Mm-hmm. We had to emulate it because the physical copy costs, excluding the DS that you could play it on, $300 or something ridiculous like that. It's incredibly, hard to play that game in the legal way, and that's one of the most, famous Pokemon games in a famous franchise.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to do. So if there's just that failure of oversight to preserve these kinds of games, regardless of the size of them, you can risk just losing it forever.
And I think asking for money for these things is fine. Like,
sure, yeah.
Like $20 is fine. $30 is fine, depending on the title and so forth. But like, just give us a way to play them. It's sad that, we could not play Pokemon Soul Silver on Switch. I would have played it that way if I could have. Ideally, it would be given a speed up function because Jesus Christ, that game runs slow.
Yeah.
But I mean, you see my point with it, right? Like, why can't we have these things? I don't know. I don't think there's a good reason besides money
and too much work.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but it's important work. Other media foundations do the work and make sure that To Kill a Mockingbird you're never going to find the last copy of To Kill a Mockingbird. To Kill a Mockingbird is always going to live on,
Which is easier for books.
Yeah.
But film does it. They've seen that be a lot more.
There was a
nowadays.
heavy effort from taking books that were shot on film and converting them to digital so that we could keep these things forever, you start with the important ones, the ones that were transcendent and changed gaming and film and all these things. You do that first, and then you go back and you fix it. Music does the same thing, where a lot of those old record players and stuff, for the most part, you kind of can't use that technology anymore. So it makes sense to find a way to remaster it, find a way to digitize it, find a way to make it accessible. We do that. There's a concerned effort of doing that with every other medium of entertainment except for video games.
I mean, we've established that with film. I don't know the exact number, but I think it was the silent age of films, mm-hmm. we only have we lost 80% of the films that were made during that time because the film just eroded. We had a perfect, obviously, limitations of technology. You can't prevent that sometimes. You don't see in the future. But that's a good guideline of, okay, well, these things, no matter how much we think they might be, entombed in our in our day-to-day life, it might not be. So you really want to make sure you're preserving it rather than just, making a bunch of copies and hoping that's all you need to do.
I got a fun theater history thing to add on to that. The same thing happened with old Greek plays, essentially.
Yes.
But we don't have time to talk about all that because we got to keep it rolling because we do, in fact, have a Rise of the Ronin review to get to at the end of this. So, Connor, it's time to move on to topic number 3, my second penny of the day, and something that excites me greatly. Report! Next Prince of Persia game coming later this year from Dead Cells devs. This is from Zach Swizen over at Kotaku. Lord alive. Fucking, excuse me. The next Prince of Persia game from Ubisoft, reportedly named the Rogue Prince of Persia, is being developed by Dead Cells DLC developer Evil Empire and is coming to Steam Early Access later this year. It might seem like we just got a Prince of Persia game recently, and that's because we did. Earlier this year, Ubisoft released Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, a 2.5 Metroidvania platformer, to rave reviews from fans and critics, and now a new report claims another new Prince of Persia game is just around the corner. On April 3rd, Insider Gaming reported that Evil Empire, a spin-off studio of Motion Twin that was behind much of the Dead Cells DLC and later updates, has spent the past 4 years working on the Rogue Prince of Persia, the next entry in the long-running franchise. Sources sources told Insider Gaming that the new game is a roguelite and plan is to launch in early access on Steam and update the game frequently based on community feedback. If true, this will be Ubisoft's first day one Steam release since 2019. We don't know yet when the Rogue Prince of Persia will be unveiled or officially announced, but GameSpot suggests it could be revealed at the upcoming indie game event Triple I Initiative Showcase on April 10th. Evil Empire is set to unveil a new project during the showcase, and it's very likely that it will be this new Prince of Persia game. No release date was reported beyond later this year. No console ports were mentioned either. As previously mentioned, we already got a new Prince of Persia game earlier this year, so after a long hibernation with only mobile games released since 2010's Forgotten Sands on Xbox 360 and PS3, suddenly Ubisoft is doubling down on the classic series, and this makes me so goddamn happy, Connor. First of all, I loved Prince of Persia back in the day with the Prince, the Sands of Time trilogy, classic shit. Warrior Within was always my favorite. Not a fan favorite, but I liked it a lot. And then the Two Thrones was great as well. And I was really, really bummed out in the Xbox 360 PS3 generation, the choices that they chose to go down with those games. I didn't like those games. I didn't think they were very good. And then, of course, the rise of Assassin's Creed totally derailed any more Prince of Persia happening. I'm so glad Ubisoft is dipping back into this bag and finding new and different ways that we can have this IP still exist in today's time. I played Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. I reviewed it. I gave it a 9 out of 10, amazing on our scale, and I still feel that today. It is one of the best games of the year. It's going to be really hard to dethrone that out of my top 3, top 5. I don't even know, because that game was just so good, and I'm very, very excited about this. Dead Cells was one of my favorite games in the year that game came out, 2018? 17?
Looking up.
Something like that. It was one of my favorite games of that year. I loved it. I never played any of the Dead Cells DLC, but it was something. 2018. It was something that was lauded very, very heavily. The Castlevania update last year did big numbers, review-wise, and it was exciting stuff. So I'm super excited. And then you think about it, a roguelite, Prince of Persia, moving time around, time traveling, all that shit, totally makes sense for a roguelite, right? I think that's really cool. I think they could do some really fun and creative things. Just think about it. If you die, they just rewind it and they just triple speed it and you see the path you went through, and then rewind it and then you enter and it's different. That would be kind of cool. That's cool. It's just fun stuff like that they could play around with time and how roguelites work in their very nature. I think this is a great choice. I love that it seems that Prince of Persia is back in a smaller way, but in some ways a more creative way. I'm more excited about this than getting another 3D action platformer game that we would have expected. This is cooler. Getting a Metroidvania, getting a roguelite, having them be in the 2D space, harkening back to Prince of Persia Origins. I love it. I want to see more. Can't wait to see what Evil Twin.
Dead Twin? No.
What are they called?
Evil
Empire. Very excited to see what Evil Empire has in store for us here.
I mean, you got to make up for that. What they call that game? Black Sails. What was the game? The pirate game they failed. Ubisoft's pirate game.
Skull and Bones.
Black Sails, the TV show. Skull and Bones. They failed with that. So hey, if you're gonna sit on an IP like
that
this,
has almost nothing to do with this.
It's more of a shot at Ubisoft for releasing a game that failed. Hey, if you're gonna sit on it for years and years and years, I guess better late than never.
Damn near a decade.
And
since
that
we got a mainline Prince of Persia game. That's fucking insane. And then to get 2 games out of it, I'm so here for it. Go ahead.
To your point of you were more excited for this than a 3D Prince of Persia game. Totally get that. Though I think depending on how Lost Crown does, I don't know what the sales are for that. That could be the resurgence of it.
It exceeded expectations.
Okay.
I know that much. I don't. What does that mean? I don't know. Lost Crown also getting a DLC layout for the next year or 2 or whatever. Which cool. It's all a bunch of small stuff, which you would expect. But yeah, I just love that Prince of Persia is back in some kind of meaningful way again. Again, this is much smaller, but. Do we need a 20-hour Prince of Persia adventure? I don't think. We got one. But Do we need full AAA budget Prince of Persia games anymore? I don't know. I don't think we do. But I'm so glad that this is the route we're chosen. The quality was really high with The Lost Crown. Mm-hmm. If you haven't played The Lost Crown, go fucking play it, because that's one of the best games of the year. Connor.
I knew he was going to say that, too. It's fucking good.
It really is. It's genuinely so fucking good.
I'm not denying that.
So fucking good. Yeah. Find the time to play it if you haven't. And you know, blow up the social medias when this one gets announced. I'm so excited. But you know what else I'm excited for, Connor?
And what's that?
Is our final topic of the day, because it's a fun one. We're gonna have a little fun on this show. We never have fun on this show. You know, we're always hypothesizing. We're always talking about downer things like layoffs and so forth, and those are still happening for sure. But no big major news things happened this week that at least to fill out the run of show. But there was a little bit of a internet hoopla about
small one, yeah.
about a certain list that came out. So what is your final penny of the day?
You guys know who BAFTA is, right?
The BAFTAs.
For those of you that don't know, it stands for... what the fuck does even BAFTA stand for? I probably should have established that beforehand.
No.
It's a British thing. You know, it's like for actors and TV shows. Fuck, what is BAFTA? You know what?
It's for video games, buddy.
It's for video games?
Yeah.
BAFTA entirely? I know.
You're thinking of SAG-AFTRA.
No. I feel like BAFTA has been around for
BAFTA's
far
about
longer than video games. Huh.
The BAFTA awards happened like 2 weeks ago.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well,
BAFTAs are about video games.
BAFTA. There you go.
Yeah.
They're British. They did a list of a community ranking of the top 20 most iconic video game characters of all time.
Top 20 iconic video game characters of all time.
Yes.
Now, I haven't seen this list.
You have not. And so
I know it caused a little bit of hoopla. I know Solid Snake is on the list, and they used the wrong picture. They used a picture of Big Boss, and everybody was making memes about, that is not Solid Snake.
Which, I mean, fitting, I think, though wrong. That's an oversight. That's a massive oversight.
That's
BAFTA's about... It's one thing a BAFTA was about other things than just games.
It's the thing where Solid Snake is the more iconic character name, but the images of Big Boss are more iconic than the images of Solid Snake.
Funny how that works, huh?
I mean, it's 100% due to the 3D era being, you know, so Big Boss focused.
And the iPad.
I say the 3D era. All of them were 3D era. But, like, the later games being more Big Boss focused, and he kind of became the face of Metal Gear Solid. But everybody knows Solid Snake, you know.
And the iPad. More striking.
Yeah. You know, it's just a more icon. I mean, Big Boss has been in more games at this point. So,
yeah, you're right.
You know,
has he though?
Has been the playable character of more games at this point. I'll clarify.
But he's not. Is he number one? Actually, who knows?
No,
because
he's not number one.
Since you haven't seen this list, who do you think is number one?
Can I ask? Are they all heroes?
That's a good question. I believe they are. There might be some morally dubious characters.
Well, I mean, there's ones that you would assume are on the list. A Kratos is on the list. A Solid Snake, obviously, we just talked about that. Maybe a Dante is on the list. I could see Cloud Strife being on the list. I could see. It'd be really lame if Spider-Man was on the list. I'll be honest.
Mm-hmm. It's like that's cheating.
It's cheating, yeah.
But
I mean, Spider-Man is important to video games. There's a lot of Spider-Man legacy when it comes to video games, and for good reason. Everybody wants to be Spider-Man. They're not gonna put like Aloy. Nathan Drake would be on the list. Master Chief would be on the list. Would GLaDOS be on the list? My guess for number one, Connor. It's gonna be something boring, isn't it?
I mean, you're just saying that basically.
Yeah. Give me. Oh, well, I guess number one would probably be Mario. If we're talking most iconic, It's got to be Mario.
Locked in?
Yeah, I'll lock in Mario.
This isn't for points or anything.
Yeah. This is just for my reaction, I guess.
Well, I guess with
how many people are on the list? 20?
20. Yes.
Yeah.
20. Number 20.
Okay.
Is the good old Nathan Drake.
Hey, he squeaked in there. Okay.
He did. I'm surprised he's kind of not higher.
I think a little higher than 20, but let's see how the rest of the list goes, and then we'll talk about it.
Oh, some of them are weird. One of them particular. Well, 19.
I mean, Nathan Drake was the face of PlayStation for basically 2 generations of consoles.
So who could have topped him? right?
19.
Ellie from The Last of Us.
Okay, I'm not mad at that.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
What are you going to do, right?
Yeah. Ellie, probably, arguably the face of the PS4 generation. I think she shares it with Nathan Drake.
The idea of narrative games as well is attached to that.
Yeah. PS4 is kind of weird because it's kind of shared between Nathan Drake, Ellie, and Kratos.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Not this 18 position. Kazuma Kiryu from Yakuza fame. Dude, he's like, you look at that guy.
Slide him
style.
into put him in under 20.
No,
the last two are more important than Kiryu.
Kazuma, hey, he's entered into the realm not on the same level, but in the realm of Goku, where people just kind of share images about him.
No, what are we talking about,
dude? The very sharing of images of Kazuma is a joke in and of itself to make him recognizable.
You show Kazuma Kiryu to a normie, they will not be able to tell you who that is.
But on the internet, for people who would vote on a poll, they definitely.
This is a poll thing?
It's a poll, community poll.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought this was just something the BAFTAs did.
No, that's why it was done through them. I don't know what their exact. I don't know if they like listed a certain list of game characters, or you can just go buck wild with it. But they just, they're just the mediator.
Next,
17. This is the first time you're like him.
Oh, Connor, I'm totally full of shit. BAFTA is the British Academy of Film and Television Arts.
There we go. I
Totally
was
full
right.
of shit.
Okay.
Okay. Number what?
Number 17, the iconic character above many other game characters, Asterion from Baldur's Gate 3. Very much a recency bias type
That's a
situation.
recency bias. He's not even like...
He broke in
over Shadowheart?
Mm-hmm.
Over...
Asterion's in there?
Over, what's the red chick's name?
Karlach. She didn't make as big of a splash as like Asterion or Shadowheart. So I'm not surprised at that.
I guess, yeah.
But yeah, recency bias.
Yeah, it's recency bias. We're living in the moment too much there.
Yeah. But at least 16 won over Asterion. I don't have anything against Asterion. But this is a better character. Cloud Strife. So you were right when you pointed him out.
Little low.
But, I think a lot of people recognize him.
If Sephiroth is on the list, then fine. But if Cloud is the only FF7 representation, low.
Yeah.
Low.
Yeah. 15. Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah. Immediately, we're swapping some numbers around here. Yeah.
Iconic?
Sure.
This isn't best. This is iconic.
Sure.
So
yeah, but
should be higher.
Not over Cloud, not over Nathan Drake, not over Ellie.
Oh, you're saying it should be lower.
Crash? Yeah. Crash should be
But
lower.
he was the face of PlayStation for years.
For years, yes. But, he shared the space with...
Mario and Sonic. Yeah, he was the lowest
from that generation, you remember Solid Snake, you remember Cloud more than you remember Crash.
But speaking of pure numbers, I think more people are going to be like, hey, Crash Bandicoot.
Okay. Yeah.
Well,
I guess.
Not really, because obviously Snake is above him, since he's on the list. But that was number 15. Number 14, Solid Snake. So he did not break top 10. I know. But I like Solid Snake.
Listen, I'm not going to argue that Snake should be a top 5 or anything. I think...
No, you didn't argue that.
I think he should be in the top 10. Right?
I'd never see him as being in the top 10.
He should be in the top 10.
Over some other characters in this list?
We'll see what the rest of the 13 above him are, but I think it's hard to name 13 characters more iconic than Solid Snake.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah.
13?
Yeah.
You're going to shoot yourself in the foot with that statement. Steve from Minecraft.
No.
Hey, people play Minecraft.
That's a number
Steve.
17 pick. That's a number 17 pick. Steve from Minecraft, that's a number 17 pick.
That's the only one I can't really explain on this list.
A lot of numbers. Big numbers in Minecraft. Don't know if you know that.
I did know that.
They sell books, they sell movies, they sell cartoons. A lot of stuff going on in Minecraft world.
And know what sold more than Minecraft, I think?
Nothing.
Had to have?
Pac-Man?
Not Pokemon?
Oh, collectively, yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, number 12 is Pikachu. Kind of squeezed his way in there. Remember, Pokemon originally was a video game.
Yeah,
that was its origin.
But Pikachu's better known from the cartoon.
But it's just the face. At that point, you're no longer thinking about whether it came first or not. It's
Pikachu is not famous because of the video games. Pikachu is famous because of the TV show.
Sure, I would agree with that.
Phil's coming in from the peanut gallery. Maybe he can. If he ever puts his fucking headphones on, maybe he can bring that up. But yeah,
I don't think he can. I think he's incapable of doing it because he's an idiot.
We're doing
sorry,
the.
Phil.
Phil from the Peanut Gallery. We're doing we're in the BAFTA section of the Gamescast here, and we're talking the top 20. This was number 13.
This was number 12.
Number 12, Pikachu.
As a video game, the most iconic video game.
Video game character, Pikachu.
Yeah.
I understand Pokemon originated from video games, but Pikachu is known because of the TV show, not because of the game. I understand they then did a spin-off Pokemon Pikachu edition or whatever. But again,
that's what they're doing.
That's because of the popularity of the TV show.
Right, but I'd still like if you're gonna pick that, you just gotta have Pokemon representation, is what they're looking for there.
The translation
I
exists.
would I put Pikachu as a top 20 video game character? No.
I feel if you want Pokemon representation, you do one of the initial 3 starters, or you do Charizard.
Nah, you're doing Pikachu. Charizard, maybe. Yeah.
No,
Charizard would make more sense.
I think Pikachu is definitely the move.
All right. Moving on.
I'll just fill you. You've seen the list, right, Phil?
I don't remember the list.
All right, run through it quickly, just for the audience as well. 20 Nathan Drake, 19 Ellie, 18 Cosmo Kiryu, 17 Asterion, 16 Cloud Strife, 15 Crash Bandicoot, 14 Solid Snake, 13 Steve, 12 Pikachu. Going into the 11th.
So far, I'll say I don't hate this list. There are things I would move around.
I hate that Asterion is already above Kiryu. I hate that.
I think Asterion
Recency
is the
bias.
one thing that should not be on this list. So far.
Who is it?
Asterion should not be on this list. Not right now.
I don't think Steve should
He
be on
needs
this list.
he needs 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
Steve definitely belongs in this list.
Steve belongs in the list.
Like
I would
like
move him.
Pluck character.
I would move him, but yeah.
Well,
You can't name 13 characters more iconic than Solid Snake.
11.
No, that's not Solid Snake.
We did that already.
We did that bit.
Number 11, certainly I'll give you this, Tavin, not as iconic as Solid Snake. Arthur Morgan. You know, I think from my
Again with the recency bias, John Marston is the Red Dead guy.
not anymore. No, he's definitively been dethroned. I think that's for certain. I think Arthur Morgan is also definitively a better written character than Solid Snake, but iconic, no way. Just doesn't make sense. Even with recency bias included, I don't know how that computes.
I mean, that's not fair because Solid Snake did so much for storytelling in video games.
Did so much for it, but I'm talking just like isolated looking at who's better written, whose story.
Solid
whose
Snake
better.
didn't do it. Kojima did it.
Now we're just getting into the weeds at that point.
But also, like, John Marston is I would still argue John Marston's the face of Red Dead because of the cover of Red Dead.
I just feel
Red Dead 2 cover was what? A bunch of cowboys in the sunset?
No, it's him, Arthur Morgan.
Is it?
No,
Is he
Arthur
doing
Morgan, yeah.
doing the same thing like John Marston's doing?
Oh, but he's got a pistol where Marston had the shotgun.
Yeah,
A revolver,
yeah,
yeah.
I still think the Marston image is more iconic.
I just think Arthur Morgan was so much better
I
written
disagree.
than John. I think that pushed him over for people. You know.
Okay.
But I mean, you know. Number 10. You were close earlier, Tavin, with saying this character. Shadowheart. At the number 10 spot.
Okay, no, we can't have double
almost made
representation
3
from a game that
characters?
came out last
two.
fucking year.
That confirms its recency bias.
It's a recency bias thing. This game came out last year. It's going to go down in history as a classic video game, an iconic video game, an influential video game. Of course it is. I wouldn't say it hasn't achieved that status yet, but it will. It undeniably will. Along with Elden Ring. I would say Elden Ring has not achieved that status, but it will.
Yeah.
And you just can't have this amount of representation from a game that is 1 year old. That is ridiculous.
Less, really.
We're
Well,
talking
really,
iconic
yeah.
video game characters. That means you can show these characters' faces to random people on the street, and they'll be able to identify who it is. Shadowheart and Asterion would not be identifiable.
Hey, at least Shadowheart was higher. You did mention she should
The
have been.
thing is, the way I think of this is we kind of touched on this on Hype like forever ago. I think it was on our what playthrough was it? But anyway, we were curious as to like whether our moms would be able to like identify what video game character, like who it was.
Yeah.
And both my stepmom and my mom could both identify Link.
Literally.
Yeah.
That
Iconic.
is what we're talking about when we're talking iconic, most iconic characters. You point, you look at them, and you say, that's it. Mario, Link, Donkey Kong, Kratos, Nathan Drake, all of these guys fit that criteria. Steve from Minecraft fits that criteria. Neither of these Baldur's Gate 3 guys do. And I would argue, Kiryu doesn't fit that criteria either.
He's got style.
He's a legacy character. He is, if you
Yeah.
want to give him that, he's an important character. But Yakuza as a franchise is not popular enough, at least in the West, to make this list. And I would argue even in European states.
What I would say to that is I would still have him like hovering around like number 20, just because like other people that at least play games will be able to go like, oh yeah, that's the guy from Yakuza.
That's the Yakuza game. That's the Yakuza guy. Yeah. That's what I said when he brought him up. I said I'd just bring him down to 20. 2019 area, somewhere around there. To put Kiryu above Nathan Drake and above Ellie from The Last of Us is ridiculous.
Well, maybe this list will get more ridiculous.
Maybe.
It kind of does, but not really.
Even though I do feel, I don't know why this is happening, but I feel the legacy of Uncharted fading. And I don't like that.
Right? I've noticed that in years.
Let me get my old man bag real quick. People are forgetting how great Uncharted was. Uncharted was great.
Know what also was old and great? God of War.
Hey,
with
there
number
he
9
is.
being Kratos.
There he is.
See, that's where the morally dubious characters start really coming in.
9. Probably a little lower than I would have him, but I'm not mad at it. I think he should be a top 5-er.
You're going to see the other characters on this list, and for the most part, there's 3 on here. They're going to surprise you.
Okay.
Number 8, Master Chief. You know,
That's fine.
Yeah,
That's fine.
He's the chief.
Yeah.
You know?
Top 10 is fine.
Yeah, definitely. Would have been even fine being like 5 up in that area.
Yeah,
but
because to the criteria of like, I can show a picture of Master Chief to my mom and she knows who that is.
yeah, exactly.
Maybe not the name Master Chief, but she goes, that's a Halo guy.
Yeah,
You know? You can make an argument for top 5, but top 10 is fine.
Number 7, would have thought this had been higher. Link.
That should be higher.
Yeah,
That's a top 5.
Definitely higher. Like I would say top 3.
yeah. It's Link. The only, I think maybe like 3 because people do. There is that crowd that think he's Zelda.
I'm going to go 5 just because Zelda was always important in Nintendo, but it wasn't the size that it is today until Breath of the Wild. But the image of Link was always important. Smash Brothers, Mario Kart. I know he got added in the later Mario Kart, but you know, like still, like the image of Link was always important.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go top 3 just because I feel like we should have better representation in the top 3 than that. But top 5, absolutely. You can't name another character before you get to Link.
Oh yeah. Hold that thought.
Even though when I started naming off characters, I think it took me a while to get to Link. But
6.
that's because I'm not a Nintendo guy. 6?
Yeah, no one here really is. Well, Phil kind of is.
Listen, if number one is not Mario or Pac-Man, this list is fucking garbage.
Fair enough. Number 6, Pac-Man.
I very much agree with you.
Okay, Pac-Man is fine at 6.
Higher than Link.
I would put him at 5.
Well, okay. Can you? I want you to guess.
Yeah.
Really reach into a bag here for number 5.
Shit,
Yeah,
really?
Who do you think would be number 5?
Fuck, man.
Hint: it's not who you would expect.
We've already done Cloud.
Post 2010.
Post 2010?
Who could be post 2010 iconic?
I mean, 5. Like, I'm starting to reach like. I mean, GLaDOS was big. Gordon Freeman's big, but that's before 2010. Sackboy?
Is that your guess?
No.
All right. Well, post 2008, I should say.
Sackboy.
To be
No,
more accurate, yeah.
Nah. I'm drawing a blank here.
Just say something.
I'll go GLaDOS.
Tavin,
Yeah.
you were so goddamn close.
Was it Gordon Freeman?
It's Sackboy.
Is it really
It's
Sackboy?
Sackboy.
Hey!
Right there. That was the other one on this list. People were like, Sackboy.
Yeah, Sackboy should not be on this list.
But-
Sackboy should not be on
Look
this
at him.
list.
He's a little fun guy.
I love
He dances
Sackboy.
around.
I think Sackboy maybe hits top 30. Maybe. I think he's probably somewhere in the like 30 to 50 range.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he should not be in the top 20. Definitely should not be top 5.
First ridiculous one. 4, Sonic.
Okay, that's fine.
No, that's not ridiculous.
That's fine.
No, I didn't say it. No, I said
No, he's saying Sackboy was the first like ridiculous one.
because earlier
I
don't know if
disagree. Asterion is fucking ridiculous.
Definitely
not
the
under
first
top
ridiculous
10.
one,
Like I
yeah.
was in top 10.
Oh, in the top 10?
Well, Shadowheart was the other one, actually. No, yeah.
Where was Shadowheart? Shadowheart
10.
And
Okay.
We're on the border.
All right. I'll say Sonic is the first one that we've said that should be above Solid Snake.
Yeah.
Am I right on that? Who else have I said?
Not Link or Master Chief.
No, Link and Master Chief should probably go above Solid Snake. Okay.
Other than that,
Yeah.
that makes sense. I can see that argument. Number 3. This is one of the other kind of like wacky ones
Okay.
compared to other ones. I won't let you guess for this one. Agent 47.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I know.
No.
I would not agree with you more, Tavin. Absolutely not.
No. I'm not
I
mad.
can't.
I'm not mad at a top 20. But he should
I
be
agree.
he should be in that like 12 to 15 range.
You should not over Solid
No,
Snake.
I was gonna say 16 to like 18.
Yeah, I'm not yeah. Agent 47 being in the top, is that 3?
3.
That's
Top
stupid.
3.
Yeah.
That's
Literally number
stupid.
3.
You're
got it.
talking above Link, above Master Chief, above Solid Snake, above Nathan Drake, above
Crash
Ellie,
even.
above Crash even. Yeah, no, absolutely not.
Ellie, I wouldn't say that. Hitman is like the bald guy is iconic. It's striking.
The image of
It's
Ellie.
bald,
I think
guy
the image
with
of
the barcode on his head.
yeah, I think Ellie's getting there though.
I don't think so.
Man, we've had no Resident Evil representation yet.
And I'll
0.
spoil it.
No.
We're not getting any.
Really, no Leon Kennedy.
Nope.
None.
You had to have Asterion and Shadowheart on there.
Asterion and Shadowheart and Agent 47, but no Leon Kennedy,
Yeah, I know. Hey,
who is in not 1, not 2, in 3, exactly 3 masterpiece video games. No, he's in 4. He's in 4 masterpiece video games. Both Resident Evil 2s, both Resident Evil 4s.
nah, I guess that is count.
But he's in 4 masterpiece video games. And no Leon Kennedy representation.
Not enough.
Fucking ridiculous.
Number 2.
Sorry, five masterpieces. You forgot 6.
Yes, it's true.
No, I didn't.
It was a.
No, I didn't.
You know what? I can't even fit into that.
No, I
Phil.
didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Number 2.
Yeah.
Mario.
Throw this list away. No, it has to. No, what are we doing?
Right?
I was with this list for so long. I was like, this is not what I would do, but it's fine. This top 5 is atrocious. This is an atrocious top 5.
The only one that belongs here so far, like in the top 5, are Mario and Sonic.
Yeah.
Number 1.
And 4 is a good place for Sonic.
It is.
That's probably where I would put him.
I don't disagree.
Yeah.
I would put him higher personally, but you know.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think 4 is fine.
Number 1. Again, who in a BAFTA poll would rank at number 1?
Fuck, bro. I have no idea. Are you reaching for a British thing?
Let me think.
British.
Like, all I've got right now is Gordon Freeman and GLaDOS. That's all I've got.
You want to just say it? No final
Is it
guess?
GLaDOS?
That's your final guess?
Yeah.
No. It is Lara Croft.
Lara.
Oh, yeah.
Lara Croft.
Okay.
Lara, yeah. British.
Not a number 1.
no.
Not a number 1.
But you
not,
see why.
Not mad in the 20s.
I would say top 10.
Is
Top
Lara
10
Croft
definitely.
in, like, is she revered that much in Britain, in England, in European countries? Is
Apparently fucking so.
That's ridiculous.
I know.
Over Mario is ridiculous.
Over Mario and
Mario
Link,
is the video
Anybody
game
over
character.
Mario is
Sonic.
ridiculous.
Pac-Man.
No, Mario should be number 1 in every single list of all time ever.
I think she's up there
Yeah.
with like in the where currently it stands, the Master Chief ranking, like around maybe above or below.
I
8.
think she's. You're putting Solid Snake above Lara Croft.
she's more iconic than Solid Snake.
No.
Yeah, she
No,
definitely is.
I'm without a doubt putting Lara Croft before Solid Snake.
Metal Gear Solid is I would argue Metal Gear Solid is a bigger franchise than Tomb Raider.
That's talking about franchises, not characters. Like certainly it is more influential
Who
as
got
well.
who got a movie first?
Lara Croft.
Lara Croft had a lot, 3 movies.
They had one with Angelina
Exactly.
Jolie in like
They had 2 with Angelina Jolie.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Yes, but
That's gonna start reaching people who don't
in
play
a more
video games.
marketable, like Lara Croft is more marketable than Solid Snake, but the Metal Gear games have aged better. There's more Metal Gear fans, I would say.
But think about how many people would find out about Lara Croft through multiple mediums. Solid Snake is
Exactly.
locked in the video game sector. Wasn't there a Lara Croft
Exactly.
TV show or an anime at one point as well? I thought there was.
Probably.
There's the
There's
movie,
a
of
bunch
course.
of spin-off games. There's
Yeah.
a bunch of spin-off games. Wow. Really? We let Triangle Boobs fucking take over Mario.
I see you're objectifying women. So pathetic.
Those are sticking out in front of her to make her go in front of top 10. So.
Oh, got it. Of course, yeah. They got to be in 10, or else anybody in front of her would get stabbed to death by the fucking sharpness of the point.
So if anything, it's actually a good position.
This list was fine until that top 5, and that top 5 just tanked the whole fucking list.
Crumbled.
Tanked the whole fucking list. That's an atrocious top 5. You got it very, very wrong. Wow, that thunder going off.
Right.
Mario should be number 1, easily with a bullet. Should be number 1, and Sonic is fine where he is. Master Chief should have gone in the top 5. Who else should have gone in the top 5?
Pac-Man.
Pac-Man should be in top 5.
Yeah.
Pac-Man is a solid number 5.
Link
Link should be in the top 5.
That's about.
I'd say Pac-Man's number. I'd say
what?
it should be Mario. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a number 2.
I think it's Sonic.
I want to put Link at 3.
I would also say Sonic is number 2, but
he went head
pushing
to
the
head
narrative
with
that he's
Mario
number-
for
that he's
years.
number 4.
You know what? No, no. Okay, no, you guys are right. Yeah, Mario, Sonic.
Link, I think.
Yeah, I
Pac-Man.
guess Link. I guess you go Link, and then
I was going to say Pac-Man.
Pac-Man, Master Chief.
You would go Pac-Man 3.
I would say Pac-Man at 3. Yeah.
I still think like the big 3 can be like.
I just don't think
narrowed down to that.
you can identify Pac-Man, but I just don't think Pac-Man has the resonance anymore. Like nobody's thinking about Pac-Man.
The Pac is back. All right.
No, he's not.
I'd take him back. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, let us know what you felt about that list down in the comments below. Ooh, man, this is going to be a long-ass fucking episode. Or maybe it won't because this Ronin review is not going to be very long. Stick around for that. Now that Phil's here, we're going to review Rise of the Ronin. Connor, you're welcome to stay or go. That's up to you. You'll find out in the edit here in just a few moments. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow for more. All the links are in the description down below. And until next time, have a great time. Connor, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye.
What's poppin', players? Welcome back to a 2-penny games review. This time, Rise of the Ronin. I am your host, Tavin Bothel, here with my good friend and co-host. Say hello to the people, Phil Shoemaker.
Hello.
Hi.
I played Ronin.
Right, Phil, you've played Ronin. I've played Ronin. We've played, honestly, probably equal amounts of Ronin. And let me tell you what, probably don't want to play too much more Ronin.
Yeah. I think I've fallen off pretty hard.
Anyways, well, let's not spoil it all. Let's get right into it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is, of course, your Rise of the Ronin review. I am your lead reviewer for Rise of the Ronin. And ladies and gentlemen, Rise of the Ronin is a fine game. It's fine. It does nothing overly offensive, but it doesn't do anything special. I think, to start with the positive, undeniably, the best parts about it are its combat systems, which early on do shine very well and are very fun and interesting to play with, but they quickly lose their luster as you are thrust into the open world and you discover just how useless some of those game mechanics are. It just doesn't take advantage of them in too many interesting ways outside of the boss fights, but even then, the boss fights aren't as complex or interesting as something you would find in a Sekiro or even Team Ninja's last game franchise that they were known for, Neo. I think that game was way more interesting. Rise of the Ronin, to me, is desperately trying to find a middle ground between Ghost of Tsushima and Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, and it fails to meet either standard. I don't see a reason why you would pick up and play Rise of the Ronin, at least not at full price, because there are so many other games out there that you can play that would be way more worth your time. Specifically, the 2 games I mentioned, Ghost of Tsushima, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. If you want an interesting, engaging open world that has a lot of fun held within it and a lot of secrets you can unveil, go to Ghost. If you want really engaging, complex, and difficult swordplay gameplay, go to Sekiro. This, as a meeting of the minds, doesn't work. Its open world design is very much stuck in the PlayStation 3 generation. It looks like a PlayStation 3 game. It's not very pretty to look at all. Game feels, it's that weird, like, the character feels overly responsive. So, like, the jump feels like they jump too quickly and they move around too quickly. That it just doesn't feel right. There's not a groundedness to the character. They're like hopped up on monster energy at all times. Its character creator is pretty boring, and its story really has nothing special. In fact, I would say that its story is possibly the worst part about the game. It's boring and bad and underwritten, and it's just not interesting at all. The highlights, as I said, are the gameplay, and I would even argue its presentation. I think its presentation is pretty solid. There are moments of cinematography and so forth that I think are quite interesting. But overall, this game just fails to impress pretty much in every single way. And it's a big disappointment because the gameplay trailers were so good. But yeah, I like in any way that you can measure a video game, Rise of the Ronin is painfully mediocre. Phil, am I wrong? Am I crazy? Am I too harsh or anything like that? Or what is your experience with the game?
I would like to argue on the side for Ronin, but unfortunately I really can't. We had a lot of high hopes for this game. I kind of mentioned it on this past Saturday's Piggy Bank, where the 76 on OpenCritic is really starting to make sense for me.
Yep.
Me myself, I think I'm 18 hours in, and I don't see myself progressing much further.
Yep.
If I do go back after playing the phenomenon that is Unicorn Overlord. But yeah, I have to agree. I think that this game shines whenever you're fighting a dude. At least like towards the
when you're
towards
fighting
the beginning
one
of the game.
dude, when there's one dude to fight. Like it
No,
starts.
I was even having fun. I was even having fun with like having like 3 dudes and a dog coming after me, or like a wolf, you know. And like some of the really big bosses. I mean, of course, that's just one dude, but that's like one big dude, you know.
Yeah.
And I thought some of the traversal was really fun too. I like the grappling hook. I think that's pretty fun and flashy. I like the glider. I think that's pretty entertaining for a little bit. But once again, it's you do it, and then the glider's also kind of weird because you expect it to work more like more like a game, like a glider where you kind of get momentum going down, and then you can kind of go a little higher up. But like it's really just
press the button and let
fall.
it go. Yeah. Yeah.
You're just slowing your fall. That's all it's good for. It's basically like the paraglider from Breath of the Wild, you know. But you know, not as
in some ways. I feel like it's less of a slow fall and just a gentle glide. And there's just no point in changing your directions at all. And honestly, like in my experience with the glider, it feels more like, oh, I just run out of stamina before I get to my destination. So that's really the problem, as opposed to like, oh, I didn't make it, because like Batman Arkham is like a great way to compare this, where like you feel so in control in Arkham City, in Arkham Knight, of your gliding and your ability to control yourself there and keep the momentum going. Rise of the Ronin should have the exact same mechanics here, and it just doesn't.
Yeah,
like
they really try to, because they have like your grappling hook that you can kind of grapple into a glide. And then there's some like kite things in the air that you can grapple onto and kind of propel yourself again. But in the end, it kind of just falls flat. And it's just not as fun as I really wanted it to. It's not as fun as the gameplay trailers made it out to be.
I really thought this combat system was going to shine more than it does. Like, it's fun and flashy at first, but then like you see the same stabbing animation like the 30th time in a row, and you're just kind of like, I don't care. Like this is
honestly, I really wish they had stolen the like stance system from Ghost. You know, like
they try to play with it with the different weapons.
Yeah, but like I just wish it was one of those things where you could like let's say like take away all of like the extra weapons, you know, just add more stances that Ghost had. You know, just add more of them.
Sure, but like this is also my problem.
Choose between them.
This is also my problem is they do have a rock paper scissors-esque system in the game where like I was using the dual swords. So the dual swords don't work so well against the guys with the big clubs and so forth, versus like guys with single swords it works real well against. Excuse me. But I didn't feel like it was enough of a difference to make me switch.
Yeah.
I never switch. Like, I stay in my zone at all times. I tried to switch. I played around with it, and I was like, all right. But for the most part, like, when fighting normal dudes, which is what you're doing most of the time anyway, I just kind of felt like this game is fine just button mashing it and just kind of, like, forcing your way through the enemy stamina gauge and breaking their guard until you can get that killing blow or just that heavy damage, like... Sure, parry is good, feels good. I like the parry, but I didn't feel like the parry was dependent. Like, I didn't need to depend on the parry. I just needed to depend on outputting major amounts of damage. And I think part of that is because stamina, the stamina gauge or their guard gauge, whatever you want to call it, breaks too easily. And it refreshes too fast. Where like in Sekiro, like if you are doing consistent parries, it doesn't matter if you leave the guy alone for a minute, that gauge doesn't move that much. Whereas here, the second you give the guy a chance to breathe, it starts refilling. And so it's just like, all right, well then it's just a matter of like just keeping the pressure on until it breaks and I can get that extra damage in. And I do like the mechanic that they have in the combat where after an attack, you can press R1 and the blade gets bloody as you're attacking them, or it gets dirty as you're attacking them, and you can flick the blade to clean it of all the blood that's gathered on it, and that gives you back a portion of your own stamina.
It's basically like your energy, yeah.
Yeah, it's a fun resource mechanic to use, but it's not as effective as I would like it to be, and honestly, it's just not as necessary as it probably should be. I just don't think any of these gameplay mechanics were in the oven long enough, or they don't interact with each other enough to create a gameplay loop that is fun and exciting.
I can very much agree with what you said about that little move because I used it maybe once my entire playthrough and I forgot how to do it and never did it again.
I also forgot how to do it and I had to look it up in the menus. I'll say they lay out everything in the menus very well. I think the menus are good. But like if that's what I'm reaching to for a compliment, oh boy.
It's a pretty decent tutorial, you know.
Yeah, it's cool, it's fine. On that note though, the button configuration is atrocious. I
did not hate it at all.
I hated every choice they made. Every single choice they made to like how the buttons work together and stuff. I hated it all. I don't like why is parry on triangle? That's awful. That's a terrible feeling.
That's the one thing I hate. I wish I could have just like hit the guard at the right time. I would have liked that more.
Yeah, let me hit left bumper, left trigger, something like that. The parry makes the block useless in my opinion. I would rather just dodge or parry at all times because why would I block and just take the stamina damage? Why? What's the point? And the guy doesn't take any stamina damage. I like the little fear mechanic that they put in there where the fear works as kind of an anti-stamina gauge. So like the better you're doing in combat, the more parries you're pulling off, the more signature moves or kill animations you're doing, the more killing you're doing, the more the enemy gets scared of you, and it starts working against their own stamina bar. So the higher the fear gauge is, the less stamina they're able to regain. That's cool. Again, a lot of these systems are cool in concept, but I just don't feel like they interact with each other in a meaningful way to make me want to chase that mechanic, to be able to be like, oh, I can do this now. It's kind of the opposite coming off of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Every combat mechanic in Rebirth folds into each other. So you want to use them all so that you can build up and have your opportune moment to use it. And it feels good when you do use it and so forth. Like it all builds on itself. This one I feel like has a lot of cool ideas, but none of them come together in any meaningful way. And God, man, wow, this story is just totally underwritten. Like there's nothing here. There is nothing here to grab onto, to connect to.
I got to the point where I was just like, a cutscene would happen and I would get up and get a refill of my drink.
Yeah, I skipped every cutscene. After I hit the 10-hour mark, I was like, I don't care. Like, get me through this. Yeah. And I think a big part of it is having a creatable character. I think they made a mistake by having a character creator in this game and making the character mostly silent protagonist, but except in a few moments where they say a few words and the actor's not very good. But it might be because
playing as a male or female?
Female. But
same. I thought she was good though. I liked her.
Yeah. And then they do the weird like create two characters thing, and this game has weird co-op mechanics. It's just like they just wanted to do a little bit of everything here, and so they did nothing well. Like it's too much. You've got too many plates spinning for you to excel at any one thing. I talk about how no single thing in God of War, the new God of War games, 2018 and Ragnarok, no single thing about those games are 10 out of 10s. It doesn't have a 10 out of 10 story. It doesn't have a 10 out of 10 combat system. it looks beautiful, but like you can nitpick some things and so forth. But everything is at such a high level that it becomes a 10 out of 10. Everything is an 8, so it becomes a 10. This game, I think, is the opposite, where they're trying to do too many things, and it doesn't allow them to get anything up to a 7 or an 8, so everything comes down to like a 5, and that brings it down even lower. Well, I'm not gonna go. Everything is like a 6, so it becomes a 5. And there's just so many 6s. If they cut down, if they trimmed it down, and it was more like if there's a dozen categories of 6s, and they brought it down to 8, it would have come up to a 6 or a 7. But because there's 12 of them, it comes down to a 5 for me.
I get you. Yeah, I kind of had a. So this is what happened after we recorded Piggy Bank last week. Is I sat down, I was playing some Ronin, and I was like, I think I'm done with this for the night. I'm gonna switch to something else, and that something else was Unicorn Overlord.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was just rescued. I was delivered from the abyss.
Yeah.
Because like I was immediately like back into what I was playing.
Yeah.
And
I'm having a semi-similar thing about it. I reviewed Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and I love the game. It's one of my favorite video games of all time. But I dinged it for its open world content. It's very checklisty and kind of boring to do. But just the experience of existing in the world of Final Fantasy VII is so much more interesting than what's happening in Rise of the Ronin that it's forced me to gain an appreciation for all this side content. And because of that, I spent time that I should have spent playing Ronin going around the open world doing meaningless tasks in Rebirth because it was just that much more interesting. And like, wow, that sucks because they're both open world games. And bro, like you are hanging your hat on your open world, whereas Rebirth is hanging its hat on its story and its characters and its combat. You're hanging your hat on combat and open world. And your open world is, wow, this is bland. Wow, there's nothing interesting here. And it's another thing where it's like, all right, I can go collect cats. Cool. What does that give me?
It gives you like some weird currency that I think it's some other upgrade. There's so many like currencies that do different upgrades, and the skill point system is so weird. And
yeah, I was gonna lead into that. Going around unlocking shrines, unlocking towers gives you all these different points. Clearing out bases gives you different points. But the way that they've divided their upgrade trees, one, I don't feel the need to get anything in that upgrade tree because I feel like I'm fine without it. And two, there are 4 different upgrade trees, each of which work off of 2 different upgrade currencies. One is universal amongst them all, and it's called the skill points. But then each other upgrade tree is divided up amongst like classic RPG. What would you call those? Skills or RPG categories being like speed, dexterity, strength. What's the other one?
Well, I mean,
charm.
There's only 4. It's charm, intelligence,
not speed,
dexterity, and strength.
Yeah. So, and like each of those has their own dedicated skill point. So the dexterity tree has the universal skill points and dex points, and I'm like, why? Why did you choose to go this route? Like, you're just divvying it up and making it harder to acquire skills that I want. And you're making me feel like, oh fuck, I gotta search through 4 trees and try and find specific skills that I need, and some of them are like I'm doing a dex build, so I'm mostly getting dex upgrades, and that's cool. But like at the same time, like it would be nice to have some of these strength upgrades, but I can only do it dependent upon this unless I switch weapons. But I don't want to switch weapons because I like these weapons, and the game isn't punishing enough for me to force me out of my comfort zone. And sure, I could turn up the difficulty, but the difficulty does the thing where it's just, all right, enemies take more damage and give out more damage. They're not performing new skills. They're not mechanically more interesting. It's just numbers. So like,
it's just more of the same pattern.
Yeah. So why am I doing this? Like, this game is unengaging at every single opportunity. Like, this is how you create a disengaging video game.
It's just overall just incredibly disappointing. from all the hype that we had going into this game. You know?
because it presented so well. Like, sure, it didn't look like visually great, but I don't hang my hat on visuals all the time. And it tries to get in its visual bag at times, where you go and you find a field and it's got different colored trees and so forth. But you just look at it and you go, Ghost of Tsushima did this so much better.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, closing thoughts, man. I'm not gonna say there's no fun to be had here, but there's so much better games you could spend your time playing. Go play those.
Certainly.
I think replaying Ghost of Tsushima or replaying Sekiro would be a better time than playing this game once. So yeah, definitely just go hang your hat on those games again. If you want to scratch sort of a ninja samurai itch, I guess this game will do it. That's another thing. Stealth mechanics, very bland, very boring, very basic.
Yeah.
Not anything more exciting than what you get in Sekiro, which is kind of disappointing because Sekiro doesn't care about its stealth mechanics that much.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I just can't recommend Rise of the Ronin, and I think we're better off without it.
Yeah,
ladies and gentlemen,
I definitely do not disagree.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it for your Rise of the Ronin review. Quick one, nice one, short one. Let us know what you thought of the game down below. Are we being too hard on it, or are we not being hard enough, or are you finding a lot of enjoyment in the game? Personally, I was expecting this to be one of my contenders for Game of the Year, like at least in a top 5 conversation. So I'm very disappointed this will not be making my list. I know for fucking certain. And it made me a lot more excited for Stellar Blade because the Stellar Blade demo came out and everybody's raving about it. So I'm excited about that game. Anyways,
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, until next time, have a great time. And Phil, say goodbye to the people.
Bye, people.